Hi there guys and welcome back to episode 6 here of the MMA Flashback podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Livio.
And in this one today we're going to go ahead and go in an adventure to Bellator 149. What a main event.
What a fight card, man, from start to finish. It was something.
But before we go into that, obviously general news, we're going to recap some of the fights that happened and just have a general chat. So Livio, how has your week been?
It was alright. Slight break from MMA, I suppose, just with the Bellator this weekend.
No, it was
not
just
Bellator, Rising this weekend rather. So it was nice, enjoying build up to this massive week of MMA.
Yeah, well, we've got M1, we have ONE FC, Bellator, and UFC all
competing. So it should be.
I reckon ONE FC are going to come out on top.
Quite clearly.
Hey, they got a free UK app now where you watch all the fights. So
yeah. At this point, it almost doesn't matter. I think UFC are basically UFC.
I mean,
yeah.
Brandon Vera's gone, Ben Askren's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Their biggest name is Bibiano Fernandez. But hey, that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, decent fight card this weekend. We had Rising 10, headlined by Kyoichi Horiguchi versus Ian McCall. Did you watch the fight? I mean, it was a long fight.
I did. I watched the whatever you want to call it.
9 seconds.
Exactly.
But I watched the whole main card. I thought it was really enjoyable. So I went ahead and watched these first fights. I think I started off with Darren Cruikshank, and then continued on from when we made our predictions onwards. Yeah.
So I watched the Cruikshank KO and then the main event.
Did you watch the co-main, the kickboxing fight?
I did not.
You know what? That
really
little co-main event, the 19-year-old who we're going on about, he's going to be a star. Like, I genuinely think he will become a star.
Be an interesting one to watch then. But yeah, Ian McCall seems to talk about it. I felt bad for the man.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the man.
9 seconds.
I picked him to lose, I think, by decision. I thought he'd get finished. I really didn't want him to get finished. The guy seems like such a genuinely nice guy. But it's probably time for him to maybe give it up.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think he's got a business anyway.
Yeah.
So
I think he's also had issues with the brain in the past. I feel like
his hands, I know 100%.
His hands 100%. So tough going as of late. I think he's on 3 in a row or 2 in a row for losses.
Probably a few
something
more
like
than
that. Maybe it could very easily be a few more than that. But it's a shame. He's definitely lost to Rising at the moment, I think, as well.
Yeah,
I think
he lost his first one by a cut,
yeah.
And then this one now. Starting off though with the main card in air quotes, so to speak, we had Darren Cruikshank come out. He came out to Real American, Hulk Hogan's theme song. He come out with Hulk Hogan's classic moustache as well, and he got an American performance, didn't he?
Right. I hear Hulk Hogan might be coming back to WWE as well.
I mean, let's leave that one.
Anything WWE like that just seems so crazy to me. But anyways, go on.
I mean, it's been rumored for months now,
Wow.
but. Yeah, he came out first round knockout. I think I predicted that as well, so
very possible.
I'm happy with that one. I cannot remember the predictions for the life of me. I think we just tail spun off of the predictions.
100%, as we usually do.
But yeah, Cruikshank with a lovely knockout, left head kick, and then flipped in the bird afterwards as well.
Nice.
Which was
very gentlemanly.
Yeah.
Very small.
Next fight, we had Yusuke Yachi. He took on Diego Nunez and won by split decision. I thought Nunez did well in the fight. His second round certainly was a strong one. And the third, he got dropped just at the end, probably gave Yachi the win. Yusuke Yachi, again, someone who's a decent fighter, probably going to stay in the Rising area. I don't see him potentially going to UFC or Bellator anytime soon. But he was coaching the co-main event as well for the winner. I think it was Nasakawa. Nasakawa. He was coaching him, so potentially could see Nasakawa transition into MMA, which is something I personally would really want to see. But yeah, Yachi gets the split decision win, and it was a really fun fight.
Well,
really back and forth and fun.
Fair enough.
Nunez planting his feet, throwing bombs, and Yachi catching him most of the time.
You get that in these lower promotions that don't make as much money. People are willing to stand and bang because they say fuck it.
Next fight was a women's fight at £108. We had Kana Asakura. She took on Melissa Carrington. Asakura is a massive draw over in Japan with the women. She won the flyweight, I think atomweight Grand Prix. The other, just the end of last year. She's become a bit of a draw over there. Won a unanimous decision. I have to give props though to Melissa. She had a massive armbar put in on her, and her arm was very much hyperextended. then she
Fought
survived
through
it, and came out a unanimous decision loss for her. Post-fight though, Kana Asakura got on the mic. She was speaking for a bit, and in came a former opponent of hers by the name of, if I can remember it, Reina. She's a Japanese fighter as well. People know who Reina is as well.
Okay.
That was the final, I think it was, of the Atomweight Grand Prix. I can't remember off the top of my head. And Asakura got an easy win, dominated her throughout most of the fight. And
wants the rematch, not that Reina.
Yeah, Reina wants the rematch. Hasn't fought since then, but she is going to be fighting in July for Rising. So, we could see potentially a Reina versus Asakura rematch. The first fight was very fun. Asakura dominated her. But it'll be a fun fight to see the second time round. Yeah.
Always nice to see.
Yeah, be a good fight. And then the co-main event, like we've mentioned a few times, we had Tenzin Nasukawa. He defeated Yasuka Nakamura, and Nasukawa is going to be a megastar. He's 19 years old, just finished high school this year, and he is a star. All his previous fights were pre-high school, and he was 36-0.
Wow.
And he came out and won a first round knockout, TKO knockout in this fight. Wow. Landed one of the most craziest spinning kicks ever for a knockdown at one point. He threw his, have you seen the Glory fight when Matey goes for a turning kick into the body and then hits him up top with the spinning kick?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
but I know what kind of kick
like that.
Yeah.
And the man is crazy good. And I should say the boy is crazy good.
I think I picked against him purely because he was 19. Yeah. I was like, he's 19, he's definitely going to lose then.
But yeah, really good showing from him, and they were hyping him up as a megastar. Yeah. Frank Trigg was on commentary, I think, for the event. I think it was Frank Trigg anyway. They kept calling him Frank anyway. It looked like Frank Trigg.
And we've seen him once before on commentary on the show, so he's not the worst.
A left hook got the knockout win for Nasukawa, and in my opinion, he's going to be a megastar. Genuinely amazing.
Only in kickbox fighting at the moment.
Yeah, so he's only in kickboxing at the moment. I want to see him transition. He's had a few Muay Thai fights as well. So when he was a kid, he would go into the Muay Thai gym and he would get beat up by 30, 40-year-olds, full on beat up. So he's got a chin as well.
What weight? What weight?
I can't remember right now. I think it's featherweight, 128, so flyweight.
Okay.
So
flyweight could use a few more contenders. Maybe even go to Bellator. I don't think Bellator do flyweight kickboxing matches because I know they've got Bellator kickboxing.
Not 100% sure on that one.
Do. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully he does transition. And,
they've got a kickboxing event coming up soon with Patricio Pitbull defending his belt in the main event. An MMA featherweight champ for Bellator. So yeah, they've got a welterweight title fight on as well. Can't remember right now. Yeah, it's in Rome. I know that. That's about the extent of it.
A fun delay for us then.
But yeah, we got Kyuichi Horiguchi versus Ian McCall in the main event. A 9-second knockout. So where we're from, I support Redmond Football Club, and they were in the on TV on Sky. So I was like, damn, I really hope this main event isn't going to be long. 9 seconds later, it finished, and just as Reading kicked off. So I was able to go ahead and watch that, but I really felt bad for Ian McCall.
For people that are listening and don't quite understand the importance of that, Reading are never on TV, basically, is the importance of that. We're not a massive town. Well, we're a massive town, just not a city.
Yeah.
So we're never on TV.
Well, football-wise, we're not.
Football-wise.
Great.
But yeah, no, tough loss for Ian McCall. And Horiguchi maybe one day coming back to the UFC?
Well, in an interview later on this week, he did say that he expects that the rematch with Demetrius Johnson is going to happen very soon.
Wow.
So that was from him. So potentially we could see DJ versus Horiguchi too. And in my opinion, that's the fight to make. I think that does main events a pay-per-view because,
really?
in my opinion, it's two of the best fighters in the world. Not just at flyweight, but it's the best pure skill-wise.
I agree that it is definitely skill-wise up there as one of the best fights that you can make. It shouldn't main review a pay-per-view. It shouldn't main event.
Maybe do it on the first ESPN card then. Make it as the first ESPN.
Yeah, as a showcase event, 100%. That's a very, very.
decent. In 3 years' time, you're going to be getting Carla Esparza.
I know that was one of my new comments, but it is definitely something to look at. Pay-per-view's a little bit tricky because we've seen DJ doesn't have the biggest draw power that we've seen with his
maybe
his
with
Fox
an
cards.
Asian backing as well this time with Horiguchi. We know last time I think DJ finished in 4:59 of round number
Something
5.
crazy like that,
yeah. So he basically survived to the end last time with DJ, and I think since then he's just improved massively.
Yeah, I think he's one that MMA fans that know have been slowly watching him build away from the UFC organization and into a real contender.
And I think it's a 9-fight win streak as well for him now. So he's certainly on the uprise. And in my opinion, Horiguchi is the biggest test for DJ at the moment. You've got your Henry Cejudos, you've got your Joseph Benavidez's, but Horiguchi is massive up there.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Horiguchi's shown that you can fight DJ before, shown that he can last the distance despite getting finished, but if it would be 4 minutes 59 seconds.
And also, he was 21 years old at the time.
Very young. So it should be interesting to see. And if anything, DJ just needs more contenders. That's the only way you can build a man. He just needs people that are a threat to him at this point.
And I think the UFC should call back some of the flyweights from the Ultimate Fighter season. Hiromasa Ogubalga, I think was his name.
Sure.
I can't remember. Hiromasa.
Sure.
I just remember calling him Hiromasa.
I'm not going to do any better with pronouncing.
He was a finalist and has gone 2-0 post-tough, but wasn't signed, which I don't understand. 2-0 in Shuto now. Even Damasio Page call back. Get some of these guys back on here and get them in the UFC. Like, the guys were on tough for a reason. They're all champs. Like, bring them back.
100%. You need contenders at 125. You need as many contenders as you can get, but 125.
We've seen Ian McCall as well. Sorry, not Ian McCall. We've seen Tim Elliott do quite well. He's faced elite competition.
Yeah.
Ben Nguyen was his last loss, but saying that, he did beat someone. Can't remember off the top of my head who it was now. But since coming back to the UFC, he's 1-2, and his only losses were to Ben Nguyen and Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah,
so,
and that DJ fight, people were giving him a lot of props for.
Yeah,
so
because he even won a round, I think, at one point.
Very possibly. So, yeah, man, it should, hopefully we get to see it. The more, the merrier. The more fighters that we have in that weight class, the better it is.
And that's what I love. I just love now that we get MMA every week. It doesn't matter if it's UFC, it doesn't matter if it's Bellator. Yeah. We know we're going to get elite fights every week. Like, we saw this Rising card and it had some great fights.
Do you know what? I enjoy that aspect, that we know that there's always a fairly decent card. Unfortunately, with the UFC, I think that they put on so many cards. Not so much for us, because we get to, if you've got BT, you get to watch it for free. I think it's hurting them in the overall sense, because in America, people can't afford £200 a month on pay-per-views if you're doing 4 pay-per-views a month or 2 pay-per-views a month like they do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I think they go that, but I think recently they've been stretching the pay-per-views
it's been a lot better.
Recently, it's like one every 2-3 months, which I enjoy.
They've had the decent amount of Fox cards, give you a Fox card and then have a pay-per-view to round off the month or something like that.
And as well with Fight Pass events as well, which we've been seeing a lot of recently. I really enjoy them.
Yeah, I think the only issue is when they were oversaturating it, like you mentioned earlier with the ESPN in the future, we're going to get some trash cards. For a while, we had some really poor Fox cards. For a very long time, we had some Fox cards that weren't doing great.
Machida versus Eric Angeas was the main event.
Yeah.
Granted, it was the return of Machida, and Angeas as well was an up and coming massive star. Still is, but realistically, should that main event a Fox card?
Yeah, we've been seeing. Not only have the cards been getting better, but I think they've been promoting people better.
Yeah.
So even when it's a fight 2 years ago, a fight that you wouldn't have cared about, now we care about these people, so we're very interested in watching them fight. 2 years ago, Jeremy Stevens headlining in a Fox card, people would have been like, it's Jeremy Stevens, so maybe. But when he headlined it the other month or a couple of months back,
it was the second biggest numbers they'd done.
Exactly, it was
since it started.
Genuine interest for it. So UFC showing that they're doing good things at the moment, and so is Bellator and Ryzen and One, or Ryzen, and One.
But yeah, those are for our fight roundups this week. Next week will be pretty crazy because I want to talk about the ACB card as well a little bit. Sorry, not ACB, M1. Just the main event though, because Sergey Karatonov's fighting, who in my opinion is still an elite heavyweight. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that one. I think the week after as well, Alexander Shlemenko's fighting, so that is definitely one I'm going to be watching out for. The attack helicopter himself. One FC as well as on this weekend. Can't tell you the main event because I'm going to be honest, I don't actually know it. I got a notification on my phone though that they're going to be live in 24 hours, an hour ago. Yeah, and Bellator versus UFC, which we'll get into in a little bit, which we will make our predictions for.
It's actually one of my news stories. That
we're going to make a double predictions this week, which should be fun. Got the main card for Bellator and then the main card for UFC 224.
Hopefully I can get some ground back because I think I'm doing horribly at the moment.
We'll have to do a points total
at some point. We will
put it up on the Twitter or something. Yes. I can't remember. But yeah, going to transition now into the news. Levio, last week I did the news. This week I'm going to let you take over. Cool. Give us the mental news story.
So I've got a few things. I'm going to start off with this one. Yair Rodriguez has been released from the UFC.
Now, usually we do our podcast on Thursdays.
Yes.
If we did our podcast yesterday,
we would have missed
this news story.
Actually, no, I think Dana did an interview yesterday saying something about, so I think Yair, a breakdown of the story, they wanted him to fight Magomed Sharipov, the guy that beat, I forgot who he beat now, but had an amazing showing and people were going crazy for him, 145 pounder, fought on the same card as Habib, people were going crazy for him. They wanted Yair and him to fight. Yair kept denying the fight and saying that it's not happening.
But it wasn't just this fight he denied.
No, apparently it was a bunch of fights.
Ricardo Lamas.
Yes.
It was the two opponents.
Now, supposedly, the annoyance came from when he referred to it as fake news.
Yeah.
And Dana was not too pleased about this.
So he put a tweet up
Yes.
saying real news.
After all the news broke that it had been released, he just put the real news tweet. It's a shame.
And you know what? In my opinion, it is a shame. Yair is a really good fighter, but you're a fighter. This is your job. I don't refuse things at my job. So, no, he is fully in the right to release
Now,
him.
at the same time, I think it's difficult. We have to take it into consideration that wherever most of us work, we get paid a fixed rate, whereas he doesn't. He gets paid a win bonus and a show bonus, and against someone like Magomed Sharipov, maybe he wanted to get a new contract or something, maybe he was fishing, and in this case it's definitely backfired for him. But despite the UFC's loss, I think if we're talking about winners here, Bellator have won.
Yeah, even other organisations like Rising.
Now, if I was Bellator, I would throw as much money as I could at this guy because he was being built up as a star. Exactly, he was being built up as a star. It was the UFC's next Mexican crossover because they clearly want to build a Mexican star. We've seen it in the past. At one point,
they tried
exactly.
it.
At one point, they even considered Mexico the new Brazil, which is as if that's something.
Well, we've had Kane as well.
Yeah, so they clearly wanted to build a Mexican star. Very unfortunate for Yair, slightly unfortunate for the UFC, but the show keeps keeping on. Basically, like in a year's time, we're not going to be complaining about not having Yair. I don't think. Maybe
no, and I think Jimmy Manuwa put it quite frankly in the most sense like that anyone could say. He said like Jimmy Manuwa said he wouldn't turn down a fight because he knows it's his job. And he says that the politics in MMA at the moment is just turning a bit too ridiculous. There's something that Paul Daly was going on about as well. In his interview with Ariel Helwani, he said that the sport's turned into a little bit of a joke. Yeah. Like, it's turning into boxing, like with the amount of politics and the amount of I'm not fighting this guy because he's this and I'm not fighting that guy. That's why, take us back to 2007. Give us the
give us 2007 though.
Give us the evolution of the sport now, but take us back to the way people would fight in 2007. How they would get on with it. Granted, I get all rights and things like that, like they want better money and etc. But at the end of the day, it's your job. Like, carry on.
Yeah. I know. I go two ways about it because I really did want to see Yair fight, and they're both really technical, so I really wanted to see that fight. But at some point, you also understand that, like, if the money's not right, why do it? Like, do you know what I mean? I think this is the only sport where stuff like this happens. In boxing, if a fighter doesn't want to fight someone, they don't have to. They can get the management to kind of dodge that guy and dive him a little bit. In the sport, we don't quite have those options because you all fight under one organisation that has all the power at the moment. So, like we said, it's a bit of a shame, but the show keeps keeping on. The next little bit of news I want to talk about, you touched on it a little bit. UFC has 15 live stream events on ESPN now, which it's going to be a bit of a struggle for fans in America and for fans here. I don't know how it's going to quite work here.
I think they're just going to be on BT because the BT license doesn't run out until 2018. Cool. So Jim Edwards, I think it was, said that everything's going to be on BT regarding ESPN.
Okay, awesome. So that clears it up here. In America, unfortunately, they're going to have to pay an extra, I think, $5 a month.
What does that do for Fight Pass?
Yeah.
That's my concern.
It's still on ESPN and it's still on Fox, so Fox aren't getting rid of a bunch of their shows. So I think the way it worked out is ESPN paid $150 million and Fox paid $250 or $300.
Something to do with Disney as well.
Yeah, I think Disney owns Fox or something like that now. I think Disney bought Fox, something along those lines. But
my favourite Disney song is Face the Pain.
Basically, it's going to be on 2 different networks, which is going to be a real struggle for a lot of people because not everyone can get all those different networks.
No, yeah. I personally am a bit worried because I like Fight Pass. Either way, I'm going to keep Fight Pass. ESPN Plus is going to offer all of the backlog of UFC, just UFC. So we're not going to see Strikeforce, WEC, whatever else is on it, Pancreas, all that stuff. That's not going to be available to them. Whereas on Fight Pass it still will be. I'm going to keep Fight Pass either way because I want to watch Cage Warriors, I want to watch TKO, I want to watch the new Sakuraba grappling thing.
Exactly. I don't think it's going to quite detract from Fight Pass in terms of the amount of fans that Fight Pass has.
That's something that Gilbert Melendez was worried about.
What they would detract from Fight Pass? It could do. I don't feel like it will, just because I think if people had ESPN Plus, they're going to keep it, and if they had Fight Pass, they're going to keep it.
Plus the events are going to get uploaded anyway.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be like, let me get rid of Fight Pass to keep ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it's a $5 each month.
Exactly. But yeah, a couple of fight announcements. Still didn't get it right. Chad Mendes is coming back.
I'm very happy about this. I think we talked about him
a little bit
off the podcast.
I think so, a little bit. So he's finally finished his suspension for a steroid cream or something like that.
So yeah, he had a skin condition, he says, and didn't look at the label or something, according to him.
Something silly.
But he's come out and said he apologises for his mistakes before, and he says it won't happen. I mean, this is the man that jumped out of a swimming pool and landed on the side. I don't know if you've ever seen that video. I don't know how that
jumped
is.
Out of the pool. Yeah.
Like
you
know how
fish
you
or something.
Yeah, you know how you'd like
I've seen
do like a
do
box
that.
squat.
No, I've seen
but
do that.
Chad Mendes has done it out of water, which makes it even more difficult.
I mean, the guy is a small tank, but yeah, he's fighting that. Or I don't know if it's 100% confirmed.
No, it is.
It is cool. So Chad Mendes versus Myles Jury, slated for UFC Boise.
This is a big fight. I think.
Yeah, 100%. It's
Mendes is a top 5 featherweight before he left,
and he probably comes back and slots right back into at least the top 10, if not the top 5. So it should be really interesting to see what he can do there.
And I think as well, Myles Jury had a massive 2017. I thought he did really well throughout the year.
Yeah.
I think he was someone to watch out for before he got derailed by Donald Cerrone, and his confidence kind of went. But he's starting to build it up again and had a really strong 2017. So I think a fight with Chad Mendes could really progress him into that top 8 opponent range. Very happy for him.
Yeah, should be interesting. Another one set for UFC Boise is Darren Elkins versus Alex Volkanovski. Not too much known, I don't think, from either of us in terms of Alex Volkanovski, but Darren Elkins always a really fun fighter to watch.
Yeah,
always
he's a good fighter.
Brings it.
I mean, without a doubt, he's someone that
the worst tattoo in all of MMA, in my opinion. The Damage has his nickname written in almost like scarred letters on his chest. Don't like that.
And if you throw 1,000 strikes at him, he will absorb them all.
He's
and just
always there for the fight. So should be a fun fight to watch.
Volkanovski though, his last fight, he ended up beating Jeremy Kennedy, 17-1 as well at the moment.
Wow, decent record.
And 4-0 in the UFC. So someone to keep an eye out for. From Australia as well. So in my opinion, he's someone to watch out for. Bit of a prospect at featherweight. Personally, I would like to see Elkins fight someone a little bit higher up in the rankings, not taking on a prospect because he's not getting any younger.
Exactly, he needs to if he's going to make a push, it should be now.
And I think he deserves a higher ranked opponent. I mean, if you look at his last few fights, beat Michael Johnson in his last one in what is so far the 2018 fight of the year.
Yeah. Last little bit of fight announcement. And,
I've got a couple of fight announcements.
Go on. Do you want to do yours and then we'll finish off with this
one?
So
last week we talked about Igor Blagoyev, I think, the former World Series of Fighting champ.
Yes,
I think that was his name. It is Igor. I can't pronounce it. Like, I'm terrible at pronouncing it. Igor is going to be taking on the returning, as we mentioned last week, about USADA, Junior Dos Santos.
Yes.
Fish is going to be the main event of UFC Boise. I think it's Boise. I don't know.
Boise.
It's in America as well, which makes it crazier. I think it's New Jersey, somewhere near there. It could be difficult
because America has a couple of French named towns, so it could be Boise. Either way.
At the UFC Fight Night event.
Yes.
Igor versus Dos Santos. I think it's a massive step up for Igor straight away, showing that maybe they've got a bit of trust in him to fight Junior.
Or they just want JDS back in the win column.
Yeah.
Either or.
That or that. But yeah, I think it's a really good fight. And I thought my boy got a little bit disheartened with his photo. I don't know if you've seen it, but they've got probably one of the worst photos you can get of a fighter. Head is crunched down, neck is rolled.
Not quite looking in shape in the photo then.
Nah.
Okay.
Poor Igor.
Poor Igor.
I think it is Igor anyway.
Any others?
Not off the top of my head from what I can think of.
Well, what I feel like was the big one this week was Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier 2.
Officially, I think is the big
Officially as well.
Again, if we did the podcast yesterday, we wouldn't have.
Yeah, we would have missed this one.
This news story. Yeah.
Fox 30 in Calgary. That Calgary card shaping up to be a big card as well.
So you've now got you've got the former women's strawweight champion, you've got the former featherweight champion, and now you've got the former lightweight champion.
Yes.
Get Dominic Cruz on there and have the whole little division.
Why not? Why not? I mean, the card itself, obviously, no one knows what Dom's doing at the moment. But the card itself looks amazing. And this fight, you just spoke about Darren Elkins versus Michael Johnson being the fight of the year so far. This one could be a contender for that.
100%.
Both men bring it all the time.
You've got to say a big fair play to Poirier as well. Coming back just 3 months after the Gaethje fight, which is going to be an absolute crazy achievement if he can beat Eddie Alvarez. And you've got to say he's got to be next in line for a title shot. I think either man would be next in line for a title shot.
The winner is very... The whole division's a little bit tricky at the moment because we've spoken about it at length in the past about how many...
Tony, Conor.
Exactly. The winner of this could come back or be injured, could get suspended, and they could come back when Tony comes back, and then you've got to say that maybe Tony deserves a title shot because it was in.
I think Tony deserves a title shot either way.
Yeah.
I probably would put Tony over Conor.
Yeah.
Just because I think Conor got fast tracked to the title, didn't even have a contender fight. Granted, it was because of money reasons.
The difficulty in that is that you would be given the interim champ a title shot over the former champ that was stripped of his belt. Like both were stripped, but one of them was the actual champ. One of them. Either way,
the only problem I think with that is that Conor has not fought anyone at lightweight.
100%.
The only guy he's fought is Eddie Alvarez, and then you look and Dustin Poirier, but that was a long time ago at featherweight as well. And if you look at Tony Ferguson has beat every single person in that division. Like the man has run through it, and the only guy that's left in his way is Khabib. So
basically, despite
just rebook it.
Really fun fight. Division's looking amazing at the moment. And it should be really fun to see how the entire thing plays out. Couple more little bits. We touched on it earlier, but Bellator and UFC going head to head.
I think Bellator does better numbers. I think they do better than the pay-per-view buys.
Yeah?
Genuinely believe so. I think they're going to reach about 700,000 viewers. I genuinely think that. Yeah.
I honestly don't think they cracked 300,000, 400,000.
Wow.
I really don't. I think their numbers have been... Last week or the week before, their numbers went up a little bit. I think this week they've not got a massive card. Despite that main event, I don't think many people know about Kimbo and Ryan Bader outside of MMA fans.
I think you've got John Fitch on there versus Paul Daly. Again, two names that are former UFC names.
Again, I think MMA names, but outside of MMA. Like, if we went outside right now and went into town and goes to people...
Do you know who Paul Daly is?
Do you know who Paul Daly is? Do you know who John Fitch is?
But if you go into town, would you say...
Paul Daly's English.
But if you went out into town, would you say, right, who's the co-main event? Do you know who Ronaldo Souza is? Do you know who Kelvin Gastelum is?
I think you'd be more likely to get a yes. Also, if we asked them, do you know who Vitor Belfort is or Lyoto Machida?
Oh yeah, you'd probably end up getting.
And I think it's stuff like that. Do you know who Amanda Nunez is?
Do you know who
Things
Aaron
like
Pico is?
I barely know who Aaron Pico is. I think it's stuff like that. But it should be interesting to see who comes out. Yeah, a couple might know about Czech.
Because he's from Europe.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. A nice little
JFV is.
A nice little thing to keep our eyes on over the weekend rather.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm personally going to watch. I don't know which one I'm going to watch live. I'm definitely going to watch one live, despite going to work at 10:30 in the morning the next day.
Now I've got the day off, so I think I'll be watching both.
I'm going to watch Bellator live. I think
I have the UFC on the TV and Bellator on the phone or something. If I can find a Bellator stream, because they're always a bit of a pain.
I don't know which one I'm going to... I'll flip a coin.
But that's that one. A few little annoying bits that we have to get to just because they're annoying and they bum me out. But Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, supposedly fighting again.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Have you not heard about this?
No.
Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Oscar De La Hoya wants to start his own. Yes. Did you not know about this?
No.
So, Oscar De La Hoya wants to start his own MMA promotion.
The lady boy.
He wants to kick it off with Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. Three, yeah. I just don't want it.
That's like Rampage Jackson and 50 Cent. It
genuinely is. At this point, that was another one. That one's really bad. I really hope that.
I'm interested in that.
Are you actually?
Who's the better Jackson?
I think we know who the better Jackson is.
I want to see Rampage powerbomb like into Ricardo Arona.
I think
just all juiced up, just powerbomb in the
50
man.
Cent. So the thing with 50 Cent that confuses a lot of people is that he's supposedly
50 Cent.
meant to have been a boxer back in his day. I don't think that's even remotely true. I think I saw a podcast with him at one point where someone was speaking to him about. He was like, "Yeah, I used to box Golden Gloves or something like that."
Yeah, but this is MMA.
Yeah,
We've seen what happens to boxers. Look at James Toney.
I used to box like Golden Gloves and then couldn't answer any questions about it or what he did and shit like that. So
where?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where did you box?
Colorado. Where in Colorado? USA.
Honestly, though, I think that this Oscar De La Hoya news is slightly worse than the other news. Bellator's known for pulling shit like this.
Yeah, and I think it'd be attraction to Bellator
Yes.
either way. But with this one, I don't want to see it.
But does no one want to see Chuck Liddell Tito 3?
I don't want to see Chuck Liddell fight either way.
Chuck Liddell
Tito, I don't care.
Only now is Chuck Liddell stopped not slurring his words. I mean, a few years ago, Chuck Liddell couldn't get a sentence out. It was really bad.
Tito, I think, is someone that has shown that he can still kind of fight. Because if you look at he beat Chael just like was it last year or the year before?
But I think last year.
Yeah, last year he beat Chael
his retirement fight, quote unquote.
In someone that is now going to be fighting Fedor Emelianenko. Like, come on.
But I think the worst part of it all is Oscar De La Hoya starting his own MMA promotion.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to run it correctly.
He's shown that he's not an MMA fan.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, with his comments about Conor
exactly.
McGregor.
I think the only reason he's doing it is because he feels like it's a money grab. But we've seen in the past that that's not how it works. You can't just get money from MMA. Most people.
Oh shit! I got a news story as well in a sec.
Go
I
on,
just
go.
thought of it off the top of my head. No, carry on what you were saying.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for the man, and I really don't want to see him do it because you mentioned you enjoy having MMA on every week. I enjoy having MMA on every week as long as it's MMA that I can watch. That's actually interesting to me. This isn't interesting to me. This is.
I'd watch it, but I'm not interested.
The Ken Shamrock, Royce Gracie of.
Oh, I was mega interested when that came
this
out.
Generation.
When was that? 2015.
Something
We're
like
reviewing
that.
it later.
Yeah.
I remember when it first when it was announced. I was like,
there's a weird
Yes.
sort of attraction to it that it's like, oh, it's crazy, but at the same time, if they compete against an actual decent fight card, if this goes up against MSG, if this goes up against the boys, even the Boise card that's a box card, who's going to watch that over this?
I think you'll get like people who are like, oh, I remember Chuck Liddell, I remember Tito Ortiz.
Exactly my point. You'll get casuals, and as much as I want casuals to start enjoying MMA, I don't feel like this is the right way to go about it because it's not a good show for MMA. When these two go at it and get gassed by the second round, as they
it wouldn't
probably
make it
will.
out of the first. It won't make it out. I think Tito wins this one as well.
Probably, but it won't be an exciting fight. It won't be a good advertisement.
But I swear
for
Tito
MMA.
can't even fight because he's got a metal plate in his neck now.
Goodness knows.
After the Chael fight, I think he got neck surgery again and fused 7 million discs.
Either way,
like that.
it's an absolute bummer. As a former company man, Chuck Liddell's not fighting for UFC. It's a shame.
New story that I've got. Just remembered it. Bare knuckle boxing is coming back.
Yes.
Well, it's not bare knuckle boxing. It's bare knuckle fighting.
Yes.
And the face of bare knuckle fighting, the goat of women's MMA, Beck Rawlins, has officially signed up.
Has she left the UFC?
Yeah, she's officially left the UFC of 7 and 8, and the GOAT is now going to be in bare knuckle fighting, and they've got a heavyweight tournament, one night heavyweight tournament. Phil Baroni's fighting. Johnny Bedford, I don't know if you remember him, he was on the bantamweight season of Ultimate Fighter. He's going to be fighting. Phil Baroni's fighting someone to decide who is the real badass of New York. And Rico Rodriguez is fighting in the heavyweight tournament.
Of course he's fighting. I think we've spoken enough about him on this podcast.
He's got to make fight number 81.
Now, is Crazy Horse or Felony Bennett or whatever it is. Now, if
I've got some sad news, but he so far has not been announced.
Oh,
I wouldn't be surprised if we get an intergender Felice Herring versus Crazy Horse Bennett fight. We've seen intergender progress in wrestling. Next, it's going to be women can fight men in MMA.
Now, don't get me wrong. With all these absolute freak shows that I've mentioned, I probably will end up watching all of them at some point. This one,
I'm not interested in. I won't watch.
This is like those street fights that you used to watch on YouTube, and you're an MMA fan, and your friends would speak to you about street fights, and they'd be like, "Yeah, no, look how crazy! Look at that!" And you'd be like, "That is absolute garbage." They're just throwing punches.
It's the first time that bare knuckle boxing is going to be on pay-per-view for I think they said about 30 or 40 years.
Wow. I know that So there's a bit of a bare knuckle scene in this country. I think in London there's a bunch of underground clubs that do a bunch of bare knuckle. I think I've seen a couple of Vice documentaries on it. So it should be interesting from that aspect. I just think bare knuckle is too difficult to make mainstream. People get squeamish when you see a deep cut in MMA.
It's 3 weeks away.
Wow. Kept that quiet. But yeah, people get squeamish when they see a cut in MMA. They get squeamish when they see a broken nose in MMA. With bare knuckle boxing, unfortunately, that's a little bit more likely. You're a little bit more likely to cut someone when you don't have wraps on your hand or when you don't have gloves on your hand. So,
Wait, is it being done at the O2? What?
I can't imagine it's being done at the O2.
I've got this here.
What on earth's going on here?
Oh, this is bare knuckle boxing. Oh, this is something different. No, this is some. Whoa, I'm confused.
Either way.
BKFC, right. I'll
Okay,
get it
go on. BKFC. Either way, it should be interesting to see what they can do. I just don't think it's going to be as popular as they think it's going to be. But in terms of the things out there, I mean, I think out there's like an arm wrestling boxing thing where you arm wrestle and at the same time you punch each other in the face. So it's not the worst thing out there in terms of fight sports. Do you remember ages ago there was that Yama pit fighting?
Yama pit fighting is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Do not diss Yama pit fighting.
For those of you that don't know about Yama pit fighting, they basically fought in a pit that was slightly sloped because they thought that it would.
Yeah, June 2nd.
I think Yama pit fighting and the arm wrestle boxing were all done by the guy that once owned the UFC as well. So that guy is just trying to basically come up with anything that he can.
Yeah, the bare knuckle boxing is for the guy who originally did UFC
as well.
Yeah.
This guy is just trying to do fucking numbers basically.
Yama pit fighting, it's not a cage, it's a circle, so you get more action.
Yama.
Right? Didn't Butterbean fight in it as well?
I think Butterbean fought in everything. Butterbean was on Jackass one time. Do you remember Butterbean on Jackass? Butterbean's the GOAT right there. If we're talking about GOAT of GOATs.
Well, I mean, Beck Rawlings is great.
But,
she's actually on that Invicta Free card that we're going to watch coming up. Not the next one that we're going to do, but yeah.
It should be interesting to see, man. It should be interesting to see.
I can't find the full card right now, but Bobby Gunn, I don't know who he is.
I've heard of Bobby Gunn.
Former cruiserweight champ in boxing.
He seems very familiar, Bobby Gunn.
He's apparently going to be in bare knuckle fighting boxing world boxing championships.
Is there ground game allowed in bare
knuckle? Yeah. It's just full on like MMA, but with bare knuckles, I think.
So same general MMA.
That'd be good for jiu-jitsu.
No stomps to the head.
I had no idea, but I have no idea.
If we're allowing stomps to the head and bare knuckle, like that might be some crazy shit. Like that might. Be
Someone's gonna die.
Someone could die.
We've seen Better Corin's got a 4-fight loss streak. She's going to get like murdered.
Let's not wish that upon anyone.
No.
Really,
but
really
I think she's going to.
She could very easily. It's going to be a tough one, but be interested to see what happens in that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to watch it.
No,
it's live on pay-per-view.
I'm not paying for it. Not recommending that anyone steals it. Let's not.
No, I'm recommending steal it from this rubbish.
Let's not take money from these guys' pockets. Let's hope that they all make as much money as they can. But I'm definitely not going to be paying for it.
I'm not watching it. I'm gonna not watch it.
YouTube highlights. That's all we're talking about. YouTube highlights. But I think that's everything for the news.
Any more news that you've got? No.
Nothing too important.
Really?
I mean, USADA was going to honour people with T-shirts.
Yeah. Have you not got anything else? George
St.
St. Pierre and Nate Diaz.
See, I did
Luke
have
Rockhold and Gustafsson.
I did have that Nate Diaz, but I feel like we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, that was off the podcast.
Life is just rolling. We can go into it. So Dana White confirms that UFC is in talks with Nate Diaz and GSP for a fight at 227.
And Gustafsson versus Rockhold for the heavyweight belt. 2
massive fights. I think one slightly more likely than the other.
I really want to see Gus and Rock at that.
100%. It'd be interesting to see what Rockhold can do, because it's always been said that he's going to go up to 205. Obviously, their camps basically held them back, unfortunately, because DC didn't want to fight.
I don't know if it's for the interim belt or for the full belt, but I think either way, if it starts off as the interim belt, I think it will eventually go into the full belt, because I don't see DC going back down.
I think exactly the same. I think they don't strip DC because I feel like they want to build him as the next 2-weight world champ. Consecutive 2-weight one.
I think post like UFC 226, because I think it's 227 they're targeting. Yeah. They strip him like 2 days after.
I think DC probably.
He wouldn't mind either. He's a company man.
I think he wins or loses, and then either fights Jones or retires.
Gets up on the cage.
Yeah, I don't think does the Conor. I don't think he does much more. But it'd be interesting to see the Nate and GSP fight. On the other hand, though.
So what I would personally do, So I'd make Nate versus GSP the main event for the 165-pound title. If we're living in a perfect world, that's what I'd do.
Go on.
And then I'd co-main Garbrandt and Dillashaw 2, and then have Rockhold and Gus be the third fight. Have 3 world title fights. Just go at it.
Rockhold and Gus would not be they should be the second fight. I think the UFC also keeps saying they do it by weight, so it would probably be the first fight.
What, the main?
The main.
Nah, I wouldn't. I think GSP's too much of a name.
Because names usually overpower everyone, unfortunately.
Like Conor,
Yeah, exactly.
If you had Conor, who would you main event? Conor or Brock?
Conor or Brock? Conor.
Conor.
I don't think it's a competition. I think as big as Brock is, and it's almost a guaranteed million pay-per-views when Brock fights. I think at this point, like you said, Conor's probably about
Conor or Mark Hunt. I'm joking. Mark Hunt got that million pay-per-view fight.
I mean, technically he did. So say what you want, haters. Hashtag Mark Hunt's a draw.
When's he gonna come back? Because I want Mark Hunt back.
I don't know. Mark Hunt's
because he got cleared and then just never.
Yeah, every now and like sometimes he's fine with the UFC, sometimes he hates them. I think he's still suing them, rightfully so as well. We should say because he shouldn't have to fight someone that's on steroids and he's not.
He beat Derek Lewis in his last fight, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Derek Lewis is a #1 contender fight.
Yeah. But then obviously there was that thing where he said sometimes he feels gets headaches and feels down and all this stuff.
Yeah,
the UFC
and then because he was meant to be fighting in the main event, and then he did get all cleared though because he went to the Performance Institute and they all cleared him from there.
But at the same time, let's be real. If the UFC hadn't stopped him from fighting and he did fight, I think people would have complained and said that this guy is feeling like this and you've let him fight. So probably right decision there, but that's old news. But yeah, interesting to see. I don't want the Nate Diaz GSP fight to happen. I think both men have shown disinterest.
Who does Nate fight then?
I think Nate once said that GSP is Nick's fight. Like that's a fight that Nick wants back.
Like I said, just give Nate Gaethje. Like we said it last time.
Yeah,
just give him Gaethje. Just do it.
It'd be a fun one. I think if you add GSP into the 155 mix, it just muddles up a division that's already a little bit muddled up.
It will be the most stacked division ever, though.
Oh,
ever.
Easily, at the moment, it's easily the most stacked division ever when you look at the names. I feel like they should do Conor Habib, get that done. Obviously, we've got Dustin and Eddie fighting now.
Edward, as Destin's been calling him.
I think everyone calls him Edward for some reason, just to annoy him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Conor called him Edward and Nathan or something, or Nathaniel or something.
Nah, Mike Goldberg always calls him Nathan Diaz.
Either way.
Which I like.
Conor Habib, Dustin versus, again, forgot the name, Dustin versus Poirier. There we go. Not Dustin versus Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier, rather. Nate versus
Barboza, Gaethje.
No, not Barboza or Gaethje. Barboza and Gaethje would be both really, really fun fights, but I think they should have him.
Felder.
Who's the one that you don't like and I like?
Kevin Lee.
Nate versus Kevin Lee.
No, you're just
because
wrestling.
It clears up the division though. But Nate's jiu-jitsu is amazing.
Benil Dariush. He's on the losing streak.
And then you've cleared up the division, and then Tony Ferguson comes back. And he can fight the winner of versus...
he put up on Twitter he's got good news about his ankle, which could potentially mean he could be back by the end of the year.
Very interesting. And that could line up for if you have them fight a December closing card, because we know that they like to do a December 31st card or December 30th card.
They like a November and December, which I like because it's like stacked.
And both cards are always stacked. Always the MSG card stacked, and then the December end of year card is always pretty fucking good, if we're being honest.
Bisping as well, retired fully now. Just remembered that. And,
yes.
Gokhan Saki's like calling for a fight with Bisping.
I know. I hope
Who do I cheer?
I really hope Bisping doesn't take that fight. I feel like
I hope you don't.
Yeah, because it's not a fight that he should take. At this point.
Rewatched the Gokhan Saki versus Henrique De Silva fight. I think I end up watching it like once every 2 weeks. So I rewatched that fight, and everyone like was talking about the stamina of Saki. And how Henrique done a lot better towards the end of the fight. I think just because Saki hadn't fought for 2.5 years, it was simply why he was so gassed.
No, I just don't want to see that. I think if Bisping's going to retire, I don't want to see him get, because it's a very
just leave him now. Exactly. Just let him retire in peace.
He's got an amazing podcast that people should check out if they haven't. I think it's the Believe You Me podcast, if I'm not wrong. He's on UFC on Fox, maybe on ESPN now. We don't know. UFC Now. Genuinely really good at breaking down fights as well. If you listen to him break down a fight, so if the man's retired, just let him be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We've seen fighters accept retirements recently. Like we've seen Bryan Stan accept the retirement.
Yeah.
Can't think of anyone else right now, but Bryan Stan certainly did accept retirement. But then we've seen people not accept it. Like you saw Chael, you saw Vanderlei, you've seen Tito. Yeah. Sometimes these guys can't accept it, but I think Bisping has enough options outside of here to accept
Personally, I think it's better to be a Rumble.
Yeah, he's got...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's better to be a Rumble than it is to be a Vanderlei. It's better to be a Rumble than it is to be a Tito and Chuck.
And Rampage.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean...
And Fedor.
It's very hard to watch your heroes, because these guys do become your heroes when you grow up watching them. It's very... Especially someone like Michael Bisping. Like, Michael Bisping is... It's hard to
He's an inspiration at the end of the day. If you look at his story, the man was living out of his car.
Exactly.
At one point.
It's hard to say how much this means to UFC fans, but especially UK MMA fans. So hopefully, if he's going to retire, let the man retire. And if he wants to have a fight, let it be a nice going away present.
Yeah, just have him fight Shogun or Rashad or someone like that.
Someone.
Yeah, in London or Manchester. Or even Hendo Free, so you can settle the score.
I don't want to see Hendo Free.
I think Hendo now has accepted retirement.
Yeah.
I think for a long time he still had a little bit left in him. His chin went, but he still had a little bit left. So that's why I didn't mind seeing him
fight. And that
H-bomb's
always there, man. That's what I mean. Like, that's just why I just don't want to see Bisping get knocked out. I want the guy. He's on a 2-fight lose streak at the moment. Finished in both of his last ones. Choked out in the GSP fight.
And fully choked out.
Oh, was he choked out in the...
Yeah, fully. He didn't tap.
In the GSP fight. I meant the Gastelum fight.
He got knocked
out, wasn't it? Yeah.
Fuck out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of does it for the news for this week. So we'll go ahead and get into our Bellator 149 card. Cool, so in Bellator 149, what a card to start our Bellator debut with.
Yes.
Obviously, we've watched the up-to-date Bellator cards, but with our flashback card, we go back and look at past ones. This is the most up-to-date card that we've watched. And wow, it's probably got the least up-to-date fighters list on there.
Is it the most up-to-date card?
I think so, because the other one would have been
Dustin
DJ.
Poirier. When was that? DJ 2014. Yeah.
So yeah, Bellator 149 2015, a mega card. The opening video package. Let's just run through the card quickly. So we've got Daniel Pineda. He took on Emanuel Sanchez, someone who we literally saw last week on the podcast. He took on Sam Sicilia. So if you want to go and watch that, go watch that. We also saw Linton Vassell take on Emanuel Newton. Emanuel Newton, who has probably one of those craziest dances ever. And Linton Vassell, someone we're going to see at Bellator 200. He's going to take on Phil Davis. We saw Melvin Gallard. He took on, was it Derek Campos?
Yes.
Yep, Derek Campos versus Melvin Gallard. That was a very fun fight. And then we got the two big boys, the two main events. We got Bellator's most...
Legends of the game.
Yep, legends. Of the game. We've got Kimbo Slice versus... The term GOAT gets thrown around quite a bit in MMA. But this is certainly not one of them. Dada 5000.
Defeated Harris right there.
And they ended up like mucking his name up half time as well. The commentator kept calling him Dada 500. And then we've got Ken Shamrock versus Royce Gracie 3. MMA started with these two, and now it's finishing. But no, one thing I like to do when I watch full events is I like to watch the full event.
Cool.
So the opening video package, the first talking bit. I literally just wrote, "Holy shit, Ken is juiced."
He was. I watched a little bit of that. I watched the little bit of the I Am Gracie and Ken Shamrock shit and his complaints, and he looked like he'd taken not just steroids but every steroid.
Well, post fight, I will reveal his testosterone levels.
Yes, let's remember, how old was he for this fight? Like 50 something.
52. I've got the combined ages here.
So we'll have a look at that in a second. But yeah, this is it was an odd card, to say the least.
Well, they showed the press conference beforehand, which is one of my most memorable. You've got the Connor water bottles. You've got the Connor, who the fuck is that guy? You've got you've got Tito and Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of memorable press conferences, but for me, this is one of the most memorable.
100%. There isn't a highlight video about press conferences out there that doesn't include this press conference at least once.
Kimbo and Dada got at it before a question was even asked.
Yes.
They spent 20 minutes arguing before a question was even asked. Kimbo nearly got his bollocks out at one point.
I think one of the big argument points was who had bigger nuts.
You got baby nuts, Dada.
Which maybe they're just from a different place than us, but we don't argue about who's got bigger balls here. It's just not something that we do.
But yeah, they started hyping up the fights. Benson Henderson as well apparently is going to say hello to everyone. And we're going to see Iron Mike Tyson on commentary.
Excited about Iron Mike. He's one of the funniest, unintentionally funniest, usually, people in the world.
It's when he was talking to Jimmy Smith beforehand, like, oh my god, yeah. But yeah, our first fight of the evening was Daniel Pineda. He's going to be taking on Emanuel Sanchez. This is a catchweight fight. It's at £150.
Yeah.
Not because neither man made weight, just because it was decided to be a catchweight fight. I personally like Emanuel Sanchez. I think he's a really quality featherweight. He had a lot of decisions earlier on in his Bellator career, but he's looked great as of recently.
Yeah.
Round one started, and as round one started, I've got a bit of a crazy story. So where I watched the fights on my bed, so I lay with my head right next to the window, it was open just a tiny bit, and a fucking bird flew into the window. And there was
distracted the fight.
It knocked a lot of things off. It flew into the window. There was a big bird implant on the window, and I saw it like flying away, like one-handed. Yeah. So at this point, I was a little bit scared because I didn't know where it came from. So I didn't write much notes. All I heard was they started talking about Dwayne Johnson. They started talking about The Rock and how Ken Shamrock faced him at Mania.
So basically, I know. During the event, they had celebrity tweets because they wanted to show that. Yeah. Oh my! Don't get me started about Pitbull. They go, when you think of 305, you think of this man. I was like, I can honestly say that when I think of Miami, I do not think of Pitbull.
I think of The Rock. I genuinely do.
I think of Miami Dolphins. I think of beaches. I think of a Will Smith song before I think of Pitbull.
Kimbo Street Fights.
Like Pitbull is so low on that list. But either way.
But yeah, I didn't really watch much of round one. I was too busy trying to stay calm. But yeah, I just noticed that Pineda laid on him most
I
of
watched
the
a
time.
little bit. Well, Pineda did. He clearly went for the takedown. But Sanchez was a little bit risky in that. He kept rolling him, exposing his head and his neck numerous times. But he kept rolling out with a bunch of stuff, and it was really, really decent. I think at one point, he'd caught him in half guard, and Sanchez rolled out. And as he was rolling out, he was possibly almost caught in a head triangle and an armbar. Like it was two submissions that Pineda could have gone for, but didn't manage to catch him. So the fight could have ended a lot quicker than we thought, or than it did rather.
I gave that a 10-9 to Pineda though.
Yes.
Just because. Yeah.
Didn't do much damage, but he clearly controlled it a little bit.
Lay and pray. That's what
exactly.
I wrote. Yeah. Round two, I thought Sanchez started to light him up on the feet a little bit, and he started to get a few takedowns as well. Kind of controlled him on the ground and landed strikes. I think when Pineda was on top, he landed 2 strikes, and then when Sanchez was on top, it was about throughout the whole fight. I think it was like 38 or 50, something around them lines. So I gave another 10. So this time I gave 10-9 to Sanchez.
Yeah, I put almost the same as the first round, but switched roles, and Sanchez was a bit more aggressive and did a bit more work. So yeah, I agree, 10-9 Sanchez.
Something interesting then came about. The doctor started to look at Pineda's foot.
Yeah.
Potentially could have been a doctor stoppage, but it wasn't, luckily. Pineda gets the takedown on Sanchez, and a beautiful sweep by Sanchez gets him on top. Sanchez, like I've wrote here, is a lot more active than Pineda and starts to control again. Ties him up in the clinch and starts doing some work. Pineda tries a roll, but again, Sanchez ends up on top. And then Sanchez hits him with a nice 1-2. Pineda goes for the kick, and then Sanchez lays on him for the end of the round. I wrote a 10-9 to Sanchez. It was clearly a dominant round, and I put it could easily have been a 10-8.
Yeah. Now, decision. I don't know if you want to talk about the rounds anymore.
Nope.
So the decision, it was Sanchez won
by split.
So a little bit controversial there, because I didn't think it was a split. I thought anyways, it was a clear win.
Yeah.
I thought, other than the first round, Pineda really didn't do much in that fight.
I think maybe you could potentially make an argument for the second, but I personally don't think he won it.
Yes. Again, we spoke at length about poor refereeing last week and how we hate a bunch of them. This one was a terrible refereeing because exactly. Don't get me started on
judges.
Fucking Cecil Peoples. Not a terrible decision because obviously Sanchez won it, but slightly cagey.
But yeah, it was a split decision win for Sanchez. This is actually his 3rd split decision win in a row.
Yeah.
After this fight, he would go on to lose a split decision, and after that, a majority decision. But no, yeah. So Emanuel Sanchez, the split decision king, gets the win: 29-28, 29-27, and 28-29. So one of the judges agreeing with the 10-8 that I said. Yeah, fair enough to Emmanuel Sanchez. I thought he deserved the win by unanimous anyway. But yeah, he did really well in this fight.
Now, this was not a terrible fight, though.
No, it wasn't bad. It was a lot of ground game.
Yeah.
They stood up as well for a little bit. And
Even the ground game, other than when Pinero was on top, it wasn't a terrible fight.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Now, this was one of the rare cards that I watched the event as opposed to the individual fights. And I watched heard the TV announcer as he was bigging up the future fights, and he had the most over-the-top voice I'd ever heard in my life. Basically sounded like...
Oh, they had some good fights, though.
They did have some good fights.
Some of them didn't pan out.
If you want to watch Benson Henderson, I was like, don't do that voice. What's happening here?
So they had Bendo and Koreshkov, which was a fun fight, from what I remember. Michael Chandler and Josh Thompson never fizzled out. Would have been a good fight, but
obviously we know Michael Chandler's a bad motherfucker.
But yeah, he hyped up them fights. And then we went on to our next fight. We had Emanuel Newton, the most sporadic fighter maybe out there. Took on Linton Vassell, light heavyweight. I've just wrote in capitals the dance of Newton. Yeah. He was on a 2-fight loss streak at this point. Had lost the belt to Liam McGeary and then came off a loss to Phil Davis, from what I can remember.
I think they mentioned
yeah, like not bad competition. Like genuinely guys,
genuinely really good guys. So
and Liam McGeary as well has had a little bit of bad luck recently. But before this little bad run, where I think he's 1-2 in his last 3. But that's losses to Phil Davis and then having a leg injury in a fight. He's genuinely an elite heavyweight.
And at the time, obviously, he was champ, or had beat Newton for the belt.
And then went on to beat Tito. The man's really good. But yeah, they gave Linton Vassell subtitles.
Yeah, I know. I felt a little bit offended at that.
Why?
It's interesting to note this was actually a rematch. They'd fought once before.
Yep.
Where Newton had won.
In a 5th round arm triangle.
A fight that he'd almost been finished in, I think, because he was caught in a armbar or head choke. I can't remember what it was.
So Vassell was winning the fight going into the last round, and Newton got the sub. Simple as that.
There we go. Newton, a weird character, one of these new age. Again, watching the event as opposed to the fights, I saw him do his whole sort of hand movements, be like, I believe in releasing my cheese and go into the ocean and fight a little bit in the ocean.
Okay,
it's just a little bit I don't know how that helps you, but
if you do,
if you think it does, then fighting's at some point a mental game as well as a physical one.
But he does that because he got in a massive motorcycle crash, 150 miles an hour.
So, I mean, how the man's built differently to me. I wouldn't have survived that, so good on him, I suppose.
I think the Swarm is a really cool nickname. We touched on nicknames the other week. Linton the Swarm Vassell, I think, is quite a cool one. And I want to make a comment on the entrances. I love the Bellator entrances.
They were really decent.
It reminds me of Pride.
They were really decent. I had something about the entrance. Linton Vassell walked out to a Shabba Ranks song. I don't know if you know Shabba Ranks, but growing up, Shabba Ranks was made bangers. In secondary school, he made absolute bangers. But just thought I'd mention Shabba Ranks. Shout out to Shabba Ranks. Shabba.
Round 1, Newton catches Vassell low very early on, hit him with the 6-2-9s. Linton Vassell then gets the takedown. Newton gets straight back up. Vassell gets him down again and kind of leaves him there. I don't know, 10-9 to Vassell. I would have gave it a 10-8, but Newton did all right with the last minute. I think he kind of came in. Halfway through the round as well, we find out that Mike Tyson's going to commentate on the Melvin Gillard fight. Little Melvin.
Looking forward to that one.
Round 2, it was another low shot by Newton, and nothing's happening. They were just kind of feeling each other out. I thought Vassell starts to kind of land some shots on him, but then Newton starts to land the leg kicks. Newton then gets the trip and then another takedown, and he can't keep Vassell down for very long throughout the fight. And then what happens again? He catches him with a 3rd low blow.
Now, I had put so much shit on my notes going, how have they not taken a point? How have they not do it? Because they let him have a break. They did eventually take the point after he had taken
I thought they weren't going to, because I was like...
I was so angry. I was like, how? It's 3. How? First of all, I think it should be a point full stop, even if it's accident, just to deter people. But 3, I was so angry. But luckily they took the point.
And then I wrote, why are the people booing? They're fucking idiots.
Yeah,
the man just got kicked in the bollocks. Do they all want to get kicked in the bollocks and uteruses? Like,
this is my point about casual fans going into MMA.
this is their highest attendance ever.
Exactly. A bunch of casuals had gone into this fight because they wanted to watch Kimbo versus Dada and didn't realise that.
And that was literally
Yeah.
it.
If you get punched in or kicked in the balls, like we all know how bad. Well, I say we all know. Those of us that have balls to get punched in know how bad that is, and it's a pain that lingers for ages. Like 5 minutes might not even be enough. So pointless booing, but it is what it is. I'm sure they don't care.
I gave a 9-9 this round.
I did as well. I agree. I thought Newton had won it, but obviously with a point deduction.
Yeah, his fault. Round 3,
Is it, yeah?
I wrote that Newton just throws too many spinning back fists.
Mhm.
Like, he's knocked out King Mo with one. Yeah, he's knocked out Joey Beltram with one. But he throws too many. Newton gets him down again. Brilliant get up and then attempted takedown by Vassell. So he kind of gets up with the takedown, which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Vassell gets him down slowly, gets him in top mount, and then,
Yeah.
rode the fight out from there.
Vassell 10-9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I don't think it was very difficult to score this one. I
No.
think that either guy just done enough to win it. Either round. It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. I also think that the groin shots probably slowed it down a little bit, unfortunately. But all in all, not the worst fight in the world either. And
So I gave it 29-27.
Yeah.
2 of the judges agreed with that, and then one of the judges gave it a 30-26. You
Mhm.
can see why, but
yeah, a little bit. You can make the case for it. I agree that the 29-27 is probably correct though, or 29-27. Sorry, is probably correct.
so then we go ahead and we see Vanderlei's in the crowd, and who else do we see? We see Booker T in the crowd.
Yes.
Get in there, boys.
King Booker. I mean, I'm not even a wrestling fan, and I know about Booker T. I think I watched the Booker T cooking show once. I think he made like rice and something.
The five-time
There we
WCW champion. And then I put, Mike Tyson. He's no Booker T.
I almost feel offended by that comment. Actually, Mike Tyson's no Booker T. But
What's Mike Tyson done in wrestling? Exactly.
hey, Mike Tyson was part of DX, fella. Don't disrespect Mike Tyson.
To be fair, one of the most memorable WrestleMania moments in history.
Didn't he knock out
Shawn Michaels?
I was going to say, did he knock out Shawn Michaels?
You know.
at WrestleMania?
But yeah, we go ahead. We got Melvin Glad versus Darren Campos next. And yeah, we got Mike Tyson on commentary. They start talking about like old MMA fights, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I just wrote, what the fuck are they going on about? Because they just start talking about UFC 1, then they start talking about Oleg Taktorov.
Mike
and then...
Tyson's a genuine fan though, and he's shown it before because he's always at UFC events, and before this was at MMA events. But he's a genuine hardcore fan.
He reminded me of Snoop Dogg on commentary, just for the comedic value.
I don't think he's as bad. Like Snoop
I think
Dogg
he's
is
better because he knows more about the sport.
Like not just about. One thing you can say about Mike Tyson is obviously one of the best boxers that have ever lived. So he clearly has a knowledge of boxing, and because he watches MMA, has a knowledge of striking full stop and maybe a little bit of the ground game.
And he doesn't like foot stomps.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg has none of that knowledge. Why the man is commenting? Like, you wouldn't give me a commentating job.
Sugar Sean O'Malley!
Yeah,
Sean
boy.
O'Malley! Dude with the afro! But no, Mike Tyson starts going about Murillo Huas and how he doesn't like getting foot stomped. I don't know what the hell Melvin Gillard's entrance was. Like, I thought it was really weird.
Either.
Like, the start of it was just strange. Some quotes, "Oh no, Melvin," from Mike Tyson. And then I thought he killed Fedor for Kevin Randleman. Yeah, just after Kevin Randleman's death was this one. So yeah, Melvin Gillard had the blonde hair. And yeah, Mike Tyson thought that Kevin Randleman killed him.
There we go.
Yeah, round 1 starts, and it was a fast start. Gillard just froze to the wall. I think he knew he didn't have a chin at this point anyway.
Yeah.
But then Campos drops him, gets the takedown, gets in half guard. Mike Tyson doesn't understand this Twitter stuff. That was the quote from him. Don't understand this Twitter stuff. Because people were getting happy that Mike Tyson was there.
Neither do I, to be fair. So there we go, Mike. He's not alone.
Campos starts landing a little bit of ground and pound. They get back on the feet, and
Yep.
they just start swinging again.
It was a really fun round.
It was fight of the night.
I mean, it wasn't all that difficult to be fight of the night, if we're being honest, though. Easily fight of the night. But really, really decent round.
I thought 10-9 for Campos. I thought he controlled the pace of the fight the whole time. Another quote from Mike Tyson: "It's going down." Yes. Just before they cut to an ad break.
This is what I'm saying. I just don't think he's trying to be funny. He's just hilarious. He's just one of the funniest men alive.
Round 2 starts, and bang! Derek Campos gets the knockout, a big left hook. Mike Tyson, a quote: "Where did he go? Where did he go?" Yes. And he says that was really arousing as well. Mike Tyson, loving a bit of Derek Campos.
I think Mike Tyson has shown before that he is a bit of a freak as well. I think, do you know, I'm not even going to say it because it's got a bunch of expletives that I don't want to use, but there's that press conference where
I broke my back.
There's that one as well. Which part of your back?
All
the
of
spinal,
it.
or something like that. The spine, or my spinal, or some shit like that. If you haven't heard Mike Tyson highlights, I think there's a couple of boxes that you need to watch. You need to watch Mike Tyson post-fight interviews.
James
Tony post-fight interviews. And
Burger King,
babe. I'm going to Burger King. And Roy Jones Jr. as well. Sometimes Floyd Mayweather's good, but Roy Jones Jr. is pretty up there.
Paulie and that guy when Paulie got beat. And
that's hilarious.
"Hey, I got your side piece. She had my side piece. Yeah, she is. No, she's not. Shut up.
Oh goodness.
You don't take my bitches. Yeah, yes. I do.
I know you're beautiful, but don't talk about my side piece. That's my side piece though. If you guys haven't watched that shit, you need to watch that shit as well.
Derek Campos though gets the TKO victory in round 2 in 32 seconds. In all seriousness though, there's lovely shots from Campos, and he definitely landed some bombs on 100%. Melvin Gillard. I
really
think
good finish to the fight.
Derek Campos is the guy who's fighting Michael Venom Page at Bellator 200. It's him or it's David Rickles. I can't remember which one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to be going ahead and seeing him at Bellator 200.
Well, the guy looked decent in this one, so it should be interesting to watch.
No, it's David Rickles, sorry. David the Caveman Rickles.
There we go.
And he was advertised quite a lot.
He was, no, he definitely was.
But yeah, I'm going to have a little post-UFC game for you. For Melvin Gillard. Guess the post-UFC record.
Let's go 20...
No, as in his wins and losses after the UFC.
Okay, let's go 7-7.
7-7. He's not 7-1 no contest.
No.
So he has won 0 fights since he's left the UFC. Getting finished in all of them. His 1 no contest was a knockout win.
Tell me he's retired.
Nope.
Oh,
fought in February 2018.
Oh my goodness.
And his 1 no contest was a win by knockout, but tested positive for steroids.
Of course he did. Because when you're on a 7-fight losing streak, there's fucking no way that you're not on steroids. Let's be real. You're going to take whatever you can to get off that 7-fight losing streak. Goodness gracious, what's this guy doing? Please retire.
And now it's time for the chaos to begin.
I hate this fight so much. I was dreading this fight going into it. I remember, before the fight happened, I remember speaking to friends about being an MMA fan. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't have many friends that were MMA fans growing up, mainly because it wasn't all that popular. But whenever I would, their response would be, "Oh yeah, do you like Dada? Not Dada, sorry, do you like Kimbo?" And my response would be, "No."
What? Did you not like Kimbo?
I never liked Kimbo. Kimbo was fun for what he was, but he was never a good fighter.
Oh, I liked Kimbo. I always got hyped for his fights, like because it's Kimbo Slice. Yeah.
But I never watched like street fights and gone, yeah, like I want to watch a street fighter do MMA. Like, I think the only reason Kimbo became popular is because I'm sure he did some sort of like boxing training when he was younger, and he was so much better than all the other people on the streets.
They showed a lot of his street fights in there. He fucked people up. Like the one when Mayweather was just hitting him, he's going, come on.
But that guy that he was boxing clearly didn't know what he was doing because his punches were trash. And then he fought some overweight guy at another point as well. Have you seen like one of his most brutal
he got beat by Brandon Lee Hinkle.
One of his most brutal knockouts is against this really, I can't remember the man's name, but really, really overweight, out of shape guy. Like if you can't beat a really overweight, out of shape guy in a street fight, you're gonna beat fella, like, let's be real.
So I wrote this is in capitals because hype. I was very excited. Backyard fighting is the best. Dada is chatting shit. Kimbo genuinely wants him to die. Kimbo is being cool, and Dada is being a bad man.
They did not like each other. I think the beef stemmed from Kimbo and Dada were from a similar area.
He was his bodyguard, wasn't he?
At some point, yeah. I think when Kimbo was first getting into MMA and Elite XC and all that, I think Dada worked as
Elite XC. We're going to have to watch some Elite XC.
Kimbo's fight at Elite XC. I think Dada was his security guard for Elite XC, or whilst he was there. and Darren wasn't too happy with Kimbo leaving the hood, quote unquote, to pursue his dreams, basically.
Boo.
Like, what kind of person like, you ditched us? I don't.
Oh no, you got more money. Boo.
Yeah. But I think I mentioned it on the podcast last week. But the documentary Dogfight is based on Dada and somewhat Kimbo to a lesser extent in these Miami street fights, and it's a genuinely really decent documentary that people should check out and get a little bit more backstory onto this. Obviously, with neither guy fighting anymore, and Kimbo obviously passed away now. It's a really interesting watch.
So a quote from Dada 5000: "Explosivity at its finest." It comes back to haunt him.
No, there was another one. Punch, power with behind each shot.
Yeah. It's going to be power behind each punch. It's going to be explosivity at its finest.
Some craziness.
This apparently as well is for the belt of King of the Streets. So yes, we're going to get a big belt. But we don't.
We obviously don't, because if they made a King of the Streets belt, I may have broke my laptop in half. It may have been smashed.
One sad note from this though, it was Kimbo's last ever fight, yes. Which is a bit of a downer. Well, I mean, because Kimbo's dead, so it's kind of... I was supposed to see him fight in London with my dad. We were supposed to rematch Josh Thompson, but sadly passed away. Ended up getting Ollie Thompson versus... what's his name? Matt Mitrione in the end.
Not a terrible fight.
So yeah, ended up getting that fight in the end, which is strange because they scrapped Josh Thompson or James Thompson from the original card and then just But yeah,
like you mentioned, it's a bit of a shame that this is his almost legacy. But if we're being honest, Kimbo's MMA legacy was never the greatest.
It was just fun. I think it was fun fights the whole time.
It was a little bit.
His fight with Tank Abbott is a little fun fight. I literally watched it on the train home today. I genuinely did. His fight with Ken Shamrock, although people call it fixed, it's a fun little round to watch.
I think also the guy that he beat him at Elite XC had also said that fight was...
Seth Petrozelli.
They tried to fix that fight as well.
Yeah, he said he wasn't allowed to take it to the ground.
Yeah.
Good old Seth Petrozelli was a welterweight and fought heavyweight. Dada and his sledgehammers.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't think because that's a genuine training tool that a lot of people do. The sledgehammer onto the massive target.
He was beating the camera up.
He did not look like he was doing it right though, because you're supposed I think the hammer swing, and I don't work out all that much, but I think the hammer swing is a bunch of things. It's supposed to not only help with control but also with power, and it's a genuine workout technique that a lot of people do when they swing the hammer overhead. He wasn't doing that. He was just whacking the tire with a hammer.
He was just going at it.
He was literally just going at it exactly. Funny training montage, but there we go.
Dada's opponents. Do you want to guess their record?
I actually had it down.
Oh, okay. Oh, because Jimmy Smith said it, didn't he? Yeah.
It was 1-16.
Yes, 1-16 for Dada.
He was talking a little bit about
as if it was fixed for Dada. I don't believe it is. I just think he fought shit people.
Very possible, but you guys.
We've seen the cage.
Yes, but he also doesn't have a win. You only beat 2 people. 1-16, probably. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Hey, Alex Reed fought people that were negative records.
We all know how fondly Alex Reed is remembered.
I wrote that Dada genuinely looks out of breath walking in there.
Yeah.
When he was in the octagon, in the circle octagon. Cage, yeah.
I don't think legally they're allowed to call it an octagon or something.
It was like a circle. It is a circle. It's a Yama pit fighting circle.
Yama.
Yeah, he genuinely looked out of breath,
Yeah,
badly.
He's backstage warm up and fucked him basically.
So how many pounds do you reckon Dada cut to get to 265? It's not a mega amount, but it is a mega amount.
Let's go £35.
£40.
£40
to get to 265.
Wow.
And he had to have IVs, he had to have everything. But yeah, as much as Kimbo wasn't great in MMA, he's an attraction, and I genuinely loved watching him fight. He's not a great fighter, but in MMA, but he is just fun.
I suppose if you can take it for what it is, which is entertainment.
Yeah.
At its
explosivity at its finest.
Conviction behind every shot, I think is what he said. I think that's what conviction behind every shot. No. They're if you watch the fight, not much conviction by the 3rd round. But interesting one.
I mean, we've spent about 10 minutes talking about this fight, and we haven't even got to the fight yet.
Because I'm dreading talking about the actual fight itself. We could get into it.
But yeah, the one thing I want to comment on is the blonde woman in the crowd dancing to Kimbo's song. like the most mum blonde white woman just like dancing.
That song was massive back in the day. I remember almost every party that I went to had "fuck up some commas." Almost every single party. Do you not know the song? Massive. I think it's a Future song.
I don't know.
Almost every street party, not street party, house party. So I think it's street fighting still.
So, a last quick note. Dada had 2 heart attacks during the fight. I remember when one was, and I can guess when the second one was, but I can't believe that.
Yeah, for sure, never fight again, Dada.
So round 1, no touch of the gloves, obviously.
Bad blood right here.
And a massive takedown by Kimbo after what is probably some of the worst punches I have ever seen in my life. Kimbo gets in full mount after like 10 seconds of the fight. He starts working to the body while he's in mount. I was like, damn, Kimbo's got some gas in the tank. Kimbo's going to go at it, man.
Yeah.
And then there was a sweep from Dada 5000, the jiu-jitsu master Dada 5000. And then they both get up and they both look like they were about to die.
Yeah, I had that as well. I put, if they can't last 3 minutes in the first round of a fight, they should.
And they didn't even punch. He was on the ground.
Do you know what I mean? Like, granted, that takes it out of you, but not that much.
Kimbo, I don't understand how Kimbo was gassed.
Them steroids run out before the fight, you know what I mean?
But yeah, Kimbo was gassed and
Dada was gassed.
Dada was jiu-jitsu master. Like, get him up against Damian Maia. 10-9 round though for Kimbo, I thought.
I agree.
Just about. Just because he was in mount and banging him up. Dada got threatened with a point being. Oh god.
One thing I will say is it was interesting watching that jiu-jitsu battle. Dada on his shorts, I don't know if you read, it said brawl. And there was no brawling happening. It was just.
Hey, we saw some mental shots get fired at some point.
At some point we did, just not at this point.
Dada got threatened with a point because he was standing in the wrong spot. Yeah. That made me laugh. There was some beautiful head movement by Kimbo Slice. Dada missed all his punches.
It's the kind of head movement that you would get if you went to like a secondary school or in primary school where they're teaching non-touch boxing.
I wrote that at some point, yeah.
Goodness gracious. He was just bobbing and weaving awful.
Kimbo gets the big takedown, and that is where the first heart attack happened.
Wow.
Dada had a heart attack, and you can see it on his face, like he's like in pain. I just wrote explosivity at its finest. Remember that line about 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Kimbo then gets him down again, and Dada's just hugging him
basically
on his side.
Doing nothing else. The man just
he wasn't on his back; he was laying on his side, hugging Kimbo. And then Big John just breaks them up.
Yeah.
Dada then gets Kimbo in the Muay Thai clinch, and it was like Anderson Silva in his prime, banging him up with them knees, and then what a take two. Yeah. And then I think it was at this point. Oh yeah, here we go. Kimbo drops to his knees.
Oh goodness.
And Dada just falls.
Literally falls over. That's not an exaggeration. Kimbo gave up, fell over, and then Dada.
If Dada stepped back, he could have won the fight.
I think at this point, Big John was fed up, didn't want it to happen anymore. Jimmy Smith was losing his shit as well.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Jimmy Smith was losing. So I think if they'd stopped that fight at that point, everyone would have been happy. But they didn't.
So
because these two warriors kept going.
So Kimbo fell to his knees. Dada fell over, and Kimbo just like crawls over into mount, and then stands up from mount.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Smith genuinely made me cry with laughter and wrote, "Are you kidding me? He just stood up from mount." ... Wow.
I mean, it's absolutely, when you see that the guy has literally no bottom game almost. And you stand up from mount.
It was genuinely like a school fight. Like I've wrote that, like he said. 10-9 Kimbo, and I put it was only because of them Olympic level takedowns that Kimbo got that round. Round 3 starts, and Dada comes out swinging and starts landing some shots on Kimbo. I was like, come on, Dada, let's go.
That's usually what happens after someone has a heart attack. They have a heart attack and they come back replenished with energy.
He gets the second wind, and it lasts about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Kimbo lands the uppercut, and Dada is leaning on him. Kimbo steps back, and Dada does a full run round the circle and flops down.
Yes.
It's genuinely comical. And Dada lost the fight from exhaustion. And that's also the second heart attack.
Technically TKO. Let's be real though.
He lost by exhaustion.
And the man, when he was running, he was clearly running away, looking to grab onto the cage and not following. Like up until this point, he was leaning on the back of the cage.
He face planted like Kelleher versus Ronda.
It was very bad.
So he had 2 heart attacks, and when they were taking him out of the arena on the stretcher, he had a cardiac arrest.
Now, one thing I should say is, again, watching the event as opposed to the fights, in his little pre-fight interview that he did, he goes, "Tell the EMTs to have a stretcher ready for Kimbo." And I put foreshadowing at its finest, because the man needed a stretcher to get out of the...
So it's not explosivity at its finest?
It was not explosivity at its finest, it was the stretcher. So he was right about some of it. The stretcher was needed and the EMTs saved the man's life, unfortunately.
Yeah, he died twice. He died.
Unfortunately. They saved his life, thankfully, but unfortunately they needed to save his life.
Dada was pronounced dead.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this is. Kimbo wins by TKO, round 3, 132. His post-fight interview consisted of the words "yeah" and "yeah," and then just was tired. And he said he didn't want. He said that's not the way he wanted to go. He's going to go home and drink a Bud Light. But as we all know, the fight got overturned. We'll talk about that at the end, though. Main event time.
Ooh, main event.
Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock, almost 30 years later.
Now
wow.
I just put the commentators kept speaking about how these men started MMA and tonight they're gonna finish it, and I just didn't understand that. Say like, finish what? There's more MMA events. Nothing's being finished.
Yeah, you're promoting Benson Henderson versus Andrei Koreshkov.
You realise that this isn't the last MMA ever. But yeah, it was
Royce scared me because he said he's full of shit and looked like he was genuinely about to murder someone.
I liked Royce at the end of this. Not that I didn't.
I liked him throughout the whole time.
Not that I didn't like Royce before, but what I mean is,
I've got a little bit about when I met Royce as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What I mean is, after the fight, with his post-fight interviews, which we'll get into in a second, I really enjoyed like his post-fight interview, his whole demeanour, and if I'm being perfectly honest,
do you know what? I am Royce Gracie.
I hated that.
Yeah, I didn't.
I did not understand that. I am Royce Gracie. We'll get to that in a second. But I enjoyed. I also put that after the last fight, this fight looked like the best MMA fight I've ever seen in my life. As long as it lasted, it looked like technique at its finest, basically.
Not explosivity.
Not explosive. Well, I mean, let's be honest, there wasn't much explosivity.
I just wrote, I genuinely couldn't believe that the commission commissioned this fight.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough.
It's a 52-year-old man to
49.
49.
As well.
It was his first fight since 2007, since his overturn. Well, it wasn't overturned since his win over Sakuraba, which got overturned and then unoverturned.
Yeah.
Because he said he never believed in steroids. Looking at his physique as well, I can genuinely believe that. There was a live performance for Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Some random woman just
rather confused that there was a live performance. I was like, who is this person? I didn't understand the song or anything. I just didn't know.
Just shouting, wasn't it?
It was very weird. The camera quickly cut past her. And it was like,
here is the woman, and Ken Shamrock,
and the actual person that people want to see.
Second time on the podcast for Ken, though. Both times we've seen him is a washed-out Ken Shamrock. So maybe we should watch a prime Shamrock sometime. I just wrote roids in capital letters.
Yes.
Filled out the whole line.
All the roids.
Jimmy Smith shut down the. Right, okay, this is a tongue twister. Try and say the note.
Where am I looking at? Jimmy Smith shutting down the shoe argument is great.
Jimmy Smith shutting... Yeah, it's hard to say that. It was brilliant, though.
Yeah.
Like, I loved how he was like, yeah, he said he lost because he couldn't have shoes. It's bullshit.
It is. Because he lost because no one was expecting Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to be as good as it was. And that's an event that we'll probably end up watching at some point, especially with the 25th anniversary.
UFC
that first one.
We got our list to go through, and then we'll jump in after that.
But
one of the things that they said Ken needs to do is be the bully. I put, please don't, because otherwise we'd get Jason Mayhem Miller out here. That would genuinely have been like Bellator 101. The winner of the fight fought Jason Mayhem Miller in a loser gets decapitated fight or something like that.
Fantastic.
So be the bully, no, or Jason Miller will make you fight someone. apparently everyone in the world has turned into Royce Gracie. I understood what they were going for. Like, everyone in MMA is Royce Gracie. He's the founder. He's this, he's that.
I get it somewhat, but it would have made more sense to me to be like, I don't know,
like they had everyone on the card say they're Royce. Even Kimbo said he was Royce.
I get Kimbo's not Royce. Kimbo.
Oi, you saw Dada is Royce. Did you see that level of jiu-jitsu?
Dada is somewhat Royce, but it was weird because I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to suggest the whole sort of Royce Gracie style jiu-jitsu in MMA and brought it to the West, and that's how we all do things now. We all do jiu-jitsu, so I am Royce, but it just made little sense, unfortunately.
It looks really sad, like Royce versus Shamrock. This far on.
Both men really.
I met Royce Gracie at Bellator 158. He was just a lovely man, like genuinely a pleasure to talk to, and it was an honour to meet him. I have to say though, this looks like the battle of the dad bods, but like Royce genuinely looks ill, and Ken Shamrock looks like he is the steroid opinion that he is.
We say battle of the dad bods. Ken Shamrock did not have a dad bod for a 51-year-old man.
He was a dad bod that is on steroids.
Yes.
Like the dad that is injecting needles.
Let's not because it's not as simple to say he was a dad bod on steroids. Because I could take steroids and I probably wouldn't look like that because I don't know.
Yeah, he has to work out.
Exactly.
But
so let's not take all the credit away from the man. But he's quite.
I'm taking 99% of the credit away from him.
Especially when both men are probably training hard. He was clearly on summit.
I mean, Royce only looks ill because of how natural his body is. That is how a 49-year-old worn down man should look.
That shouldn't be fighting this.
And Ken, as a 51-year-old man, should not be looking that way. Round one starts. I like that they touch gloves as well.
Yeah.
Royce is throwing a lot of kicks early on. I thought, damn, fair play to Royce Gracie, stepping up his striking game. He's going to be fighting Gokhan Saki at light heavyweight soon for the glory light heavyweight belt.
Now, if Gokhan Saki was in Bellator, that would be a fight that could possibly happen. Let's be real.
Yeah, they'd make him be Kimbo first.
It's a
backyard versus kickboxing. Who is the man? They start to feel each other out, get in the clinch. Royce catches him with a few knees, and then Ken starts grabbing his balls and falls down and gets TKO'd. Royce wins his first ever fight by strikes.
It's an odd one. So first they show a replay that quite clearly shows a knee hit his head.
As I have wrote,
and eventually they showed a clip where it shows him being hit in that genuine region.
But he reacts about 7 seconds too late.
It's a very slow delay, and when I get hit in the ball, or when I've been hit in the balls in the
feel
past,
it
straight away, and it's an immediate pain, and I immediately fall over.
I don't wait 7 seconds, get hit in the head, then fall over.
It seems a little bit like he may have been clipped, possibly. Either way, if he did, he did. Unfortunately for him, though, referee didn't stop it, and Royce got the TKO.
Which I think was fair enough because he went down when he was holding it when he went down. Some quotes from Ken Shamrock. You did it on purpose. You did.
He was very, very vocal.
Big up Royce though for winning his first ever fight with strikes. Royce Gracie never won by strikes before. Goes and does it against
I'm sure there was some dickhead out there that was like, I put a tenner on Royce to win by knockout or TKO. It's like, fuck it, I got my money.
Round 1, 222. Royce Gracie gets the win by knockout. Ken Shamrock holds his groin for about 7 minutes. So he was holding it from the end of the fight to even when they were doing the interviews.
Yes, he wanted to make sure people understood that he'd been punched or kneed in the cock, basically.
Right, well that does it then for the Bellator card. I've just got some final little stats.
Go on.
Right, Dada 5000 cut £40 on fight week to make the weight.
Way too much.
The peak moment of the event, and 2.5 million people tuned into the fight, which was the Dada Kimbo fight.
2.5 million disappointed people.
Which is crazy numbers considering.
Bellator's biggest ever event.
Yeah, it's the most watched Bellator moment ever, that part. Dada had 2 heart attacks during the fight and a cardiac arrest post-fight. This event was the 3rd most watched MMA event of the year, just behind Conor versus Dennis Siver, which I think did 2.2 million, and Cruz versus Dillashaw, which did 2.1. This one did 1.96. The combined age for the co-main event and main event numbers, what do you think?
For co-main and main
combined,
4 fighters. Let's go
So the average is around 90 odd. 90 to 100.
Oh,
for overall.
Let's go 157.
181.
Ooh. That should not be a number that you're hearing.
The first fight had a combined age of 102, and the second fight obviously had a combined age of 69, I think. So
not great.
Yeah, hot diggity damn.
Not great.
It's Bellator's best ever viewer numbers, 1.96 million tuned in, and it's their highest attendance as well, 17,000 people. So as much as this event is hated on, I have to round it off by saying it's fun. It's a stablemate in Bellator. Yeah. It's something that a lot of people didn't enjoy, but it's that got a lot of numbers on Bellator and a lot of attention. Granted, some of the press was for the wrong reasons, and sometimes it is for the right. This was probably for the wrong. It's probably one of Scott Coker's schemes that he likes to do to get people to watch his cards. Yeah. And I have to say, fair enough.
I mean, it did its job in that it brought people over.
Oh, last thing. Testosterone levels.
Go on.
Normal is, I think, 2 to 1.
Okay.
What is Kimbo's?
Oh, Kimbo's.
Post fight.
Let's go. Kimbo's is 7 to 1.
6 to 1.
6 to 1.
Ken Shamrock?
12 to 1.
14 to 1.
14. I was going to say 14 to 1. Wow.
I genuinely don't know what the normal level is. I think it's 2 to 1 or 1 to 1. I think. I'm not sure.
All of that means almost nothing to me. I was guessing numbers. But either way.
14 to 1.
Both go. It should be said that both fights were overturned, isn't it? After the fact.
So the Hoist one wasn't overturned.
Because obviously Ken tested positive, but the Kimbo one.
Yeah, so Kimbo Slice versus Dada 5000 was turned to a no contest. So Kimbo stayed at 5-2 as his record, and Dada 5000 is still unbeaten.
Still, so maybe a comeback when he's Ken Shamrock's age. Then
I want to see Dada 5000 versus 57.
Wow.
Give me the fight. Wow. No, but that does it though for this week's flashback card. Final thoughts on it, Livio?
Not well. It probably is the worst fight card that we've watched so far, easily. But all in all, if you take it for what it is,
or I don't know. I think the last two is just it. But Cage Rage, I think overall is
the worst one. Do you reckon?
Yeah, not because of the length, not because of the actual fights themselves, but based on records and things like that.
Yeah, maybe. I think if we take away that Kimbo bet, yeah, maybe Cage Rage. Also, the overall event of this was a little bit better. Not a little bit, but miles better than Cage Rage. I can't stand garage music.
It's Cage Rage.
Cage Rage.
Welcome to Cage Rage.
It was pretty poor, but yeah, no. I suppose it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's not as bad as I remember it being. I remembered it being a lot worse in my head.
Yeah, I think that's what the general consensus of a lot of people thought as well. I found we literally. So we have a list at the moment of what events we're going to do. We deviated away from the list because I just found this on my old computer, and I couldn't not miss the opportunity to watch this card. It's genuinely one of the most fun cards to watch. Like, you can just sit down and watch it because it's funny. Yeah, like, if you're sad, watch this.
It is a little bit, and you do get a little bit of a chuckle from it. As long as you, like I said, as long as you take it for what it is, it's just a bit of crack. It's just a bit of a laugh.
But our next event, what are we going to go into? We're going to go ahead and we are going to watch a WEC event. This one is going to be WEC 37. We're going to watch the pound for pound best fighter potentially at the time. It's a big argument point that we might get into next week. Miguel Angel Torres are going to be taking on Manny Tapia. So Torres is going to be defending his bantamweight title. We're going to have Wagner Fabiano and Akitoshi Tamura in the co-main event. We've also got Brian Bowles. He's going to be fighting on the card. Joseph Benavidez as well in 2008 fighting in the WEC. Johnny Hendricks, Mark Munoz, Diego Nunez, Cub Swanson, Shane Roller. We got a whole stack of names coming up in this event for you guys.
Yeah, should be a fun one.
Also, it's not just going to be a main card. We're going to watch the whole thing. Yes. Prelims and all.
A little bit longer. We've been... the last few ones have been kind of short, actually.
Yeah, Strike Force, we just had the main card.
Yeah, just 4 fights.
This one we had the main card.
It was a little bit longer, but the event only lasted like
it was Cage Rage.
Yeah.
Like
and this one,
11 fights.
Yeah. This one only lasted like an hour and 42 hours almost. So not too long.
42 hours?
Quite. 42 hours.
Yeah, it was 2 hours, I think, just rounded off as. But yeah, it should be a really interesting card. Very much looking forward to it. Just to touch on the Bellator prelims, Justin Wren fought on them. Yeah, that's literally the only name that was on there. I didn't watch the fight, but I just saw it on Wikipedia.
There we go.
But yeah, WEC 37 will be the next one we'll go ahead and crack into. So that certainly should be a fun event.
Yes.
Right, now we've finished with the flashback card. We're going to go ahead and go into the future cards. So we're going to go ahead and look at the Bellator 199 and UFC 224 cards upcoming. So the first fight of the evening on Bellator 199, that's the one we're going to look at first. I'm going to watch Bellator live, I think. I think that's the one I'm going to watch.
Cool.
It's going to be hard to avoid spoilers for UFC, so I'm probably going to have UFC like on the laptop or something as well. So no idea how I'm going to get around this.
I'll be watching UFC and maybe Bellator on the left. Just have that nice little switch.
The first fight of the evening, we've got Carrington Banks taking on Adam Picotelli. Picotelli obviously used to be a bit of a prospect in Bellator.
I think.
Piccolotti. He used to be a bit of a prospect either way. Fallen though, 2 straight losses. Banks though is a current prospect, so they've kind of swapped positions around here. Banks a bit of a decisionator as well, so I'm going to go with Carrington Banks to get the decision in this one. Piccolotti, just every time he comes up against a greater opponent, he doesn't really do too well. So I'm going to go ahead and get him for the decision.
I agree. I just looked at his record before the thing. He's got I think 1 or 2, maybe 3 finishes. It looks like. So Carrington Banks decision as well.
Yeah, a bit of a wrestler as well, so go ahead and get him with the decision. Next fight of the evening is another prodigy. We've got Aaron Pico. He's going to be taking on Lee Morrison in what is a massive step up in competition for him. Morrison currently running a 3-fight win streak, but personally, I think Aaron Pico is a bit of like my boy. He's starting to get on the hype train.
He is the MMA prospect. We spoke about prospects. He's the MMA prospect at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
The MMA prospect is Nathaniel Wood. But no, yeah, I'm going to go with Aaron Pico to get the first round knockout once again.
I'm going to go second round sub, just to be a little bit different, just because I think, I mean, the guy's a fantastic wrestler, that's his whole deal, so I think he probably gets like a rear naked or a guillotine or something like that, so second round sub. It's
strange, because recently his only wins have come by knockout, by standing up, which is really strange, so fingers crossed you can go ahead and get that and get me the points from that one. Next fight of the evening, we've got the return of Czech Congo, former long-time UFC veteran, and I think he's 7-2 in Bellator as well. He's going to be taking on Javi Ayala. Ayala, a long-time Bellator veteran. I'm going to go with Czech Congo to get the unanimous decision victory on this one. Just classic Czech Congo, get him against the fence, knee him a bit, hit a few low shots, then just grind the decision out.
Cool. I was going to go UD, but just to be different, let's go second round KO or TKO.
Cool, so Czech Congo with a second round KO for you, and Czech Congo with the first round unanimous first round decision with the unanimous decision victory for me. Co-main event, we've got the Bellator debut of longtime UFC and WSOF fighter John Fitch. He's going to be taking on longtime UFC Strikeforce Bama. Every organisation basically out there fighter Paul Daly. This is a very interesting fight actually. I want to talk about this one a little bit more because every time Daly seems to come up against an elite fighter, he always seems to fall short. Something that didn't happen in his last fight. He fought Lorenz Larkin and beat him by second round knockout. The fight before that was the sub loss to Rory McDonald, and then the fight before that was a knockout win. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this fight, and I think Paul Daly might start to pick up a bit of momentum, potentially might go for a rematch with Rory McDonald in the future. I'm going to go with a second round KO for Paul Daly. Interesting one. The smart money is on a John Fitch decision because we know Daly isn't great against wrestlers.
Yes.
But I feel like he's going to catch him and I feel like he's going to put him to sleep. And then we're going to get a big UK headliner of Paul Daly and Michael Venom Page.
Now I need to go for the smart money, so I'm going to go John Fitch unanimous decision. Just because I need as many points as I can get at the moment.
Can we still get the Michael Page Daly fight after?
Why not? I mean, let's be real. They can do whatever the hell they want. They could put Paul Daly on against whoever they wanted. Bit surprised that he's not on the 200 card, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, same. Because I thought it'd be there, England and all.
Yeah,
but hey,
either
way.
I
mean, last time they had Michael Page and Daly even near each other, they sparked a brawl.
Yes.
So maybe let's not do that again.
Yes.
Let's just let them fight this time. And then the main event of the evening is the fourth quarterfinal of the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix. We've got 2 light heavyweights coming up against each other. We've got Ryan Bader taking on Mohamed Lawal. King Mo versus Ryan Bader should be an interesting matchup. The smart money again is on a Bader decision. Kimbo, though, has been known to surprise a few people in situations like this. We've seen it with Gegard Mousasi. We've seen it with him winning the heavyweight Grand Prix over in Rising. But we've also seen him fall short in Grand Prix when he got beat by Krokop. So I'm going to go with a Ryan Bader decision on this one.
I agree. I think Ryan Bader decision. Ryan Bader's slightly...
Scrap that. Bader third round TKO.
Yeah, fair enough. Bader's one of those wrestlers that doesn't just point out decisions. He can punish you on the ground.
He works for the finish.
Exactly. He can punish you on the ground, so that's not a bad pick. I think that he probably makes it a little bit frustrating for Kimbo this fight. I think he probably takes him down. I think he's a better wrestler than Kimbo. As good as a wrestler as Kimbo is. I think Ryan Bader's slightly better, so Ryan Bader,
But Kimbo's been in TNA this year.
That means almost nothing to me. I know what TNA is, but it still means almost nothing to me.
No, I'm going to go with Bader, though, third round TKO. It's only a 3-round fight as well.
Cool. So, did we disagree on any of them? Paul Daly, John Fitch?
Yeah.
That's the only one. Cool.
Yeah,
we'll see what comes of it.
Cool. So that's the Bellator 199 picks out the way. Going to go ahead now and crack into the UFC 224 card. Not 100% sure if one of the fights is going to stay on though, since Mackenzie Dern missed weight by 7 pounds. So we're going. Oh yeah, it's been officially announced it's going to stay on. Cool. So the first fight of the evening, we have Vitor Belfort's retirement fight. He's going to be taking on the Dragon Lyoto Machida. I haven't really been impressed with Machida as of late. I feel like he's been a bit iffy in his performances. Obviously was riding a 3-fight losing streak before he came back from his USADA suspension. I really do want Vitor to win this fight because it's his retirement fight. I've seen Machida fight live and I like Machida, but I personally really want Belfort to win. So I'm going to go over round 1 KO for Vitor.
Now, quite clearly Machida's chin is starting to go. So for that reason I think that Vitor could get the KO. But I feel like Machida's style should prevent that from happening. If he does the Machida karate style where he stays at a distance and just picks at you, I think Machida decision.
Cool, next fight, John Linnekar versus Bryan Kelleher. Should be another interesting fight, really looking forward to this one. It's a bit strange that it's an unranked opponent taking a number 6 bantamweight, but hey, that's what happens in the UFC. Yeah. Good though, good for John Linnekar, because he's doing the classic UFC style of I don't give a shit about rankings. And I'm going to go with him to get the UD.
I went for him to get a round 2 TKO or maybe a unanimous decision. I feel like I like Kelleher, but unfortunately, as big of a one-trick pony as what's his name is, as Lineker is, we know what he's going to do. It's just tough to stop him from doing it. We've only seen basically TJ do it so far. We've seen TJ completely nullify the man. Other than that, no one else has been really able to, and it should be a tough night for Bryan Kelleher, unfortunately. Yeah,
next fight is going to be a catchweight fight now. So it's a catchweight of 123 pounds. It's Mackenzie Dern was 7 pounds over the straw weight limit. So yeah, Mackenzie Dern is going to be taking on Amanda Cooper. I see Dern getting the first round sub and going and celebrating in her home country.
Dern second round sub. Fight's made for her to win, basically.
I mean, her dad is Brazilian, but she grew up in America.
Yes.
So, but she's saying that she is Brazilian. So fair enough, whatever. I understand that. It's just the accent that's annoying.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, we know some people pick up accents quicker. But I think her opponent for this fight, 3 losses via sub or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's quite clear that they're trying to feed her to Mackenzie Dern, basically.
And also, can you imagine the eruption that she's probably going to get in Brazil? Like, realistically, they see her as a native, she sees herself as a native. They're probably going to give her a big. They're probably going to be like, ooh,
ooh,
yeah. I couldn't remember what it was. I was like, yeah, they shout something. It sounds like that. But no, yeah, Mackenzie Dern, first round sub for me.
Second round sub.
Next fight is a very, very interesting matchup in middleweight. Probably a number 1 contenders fight when you look at it. It's Ronaldo Jacare Souza taking on Kelvin Gastelum. I think it's a very hard fight to call. You know, you got Jacare, who, as much as he's looked great recently, did recently get knocked out by Robert Whittaker. So is the chin starting to go on Jacare? And then you've got Kelvin Gastelum, who every time he comes up against that elite opponent, just falls short. Recently, he fought Bisping and didn't come up short. Obviously, won by knockout.
Yeah.
But this was a Bisping that's worn down. This is the Bisping that fought 2 weeks previous.
A Bisping that's basically retired at this point. So
I think it's a very interesting fight. I really like Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah.
He actually was my pick to win Tough 17 when it came out. He was the underdog. He was last picked. But I liked Kelvin Gastelum at the time. I'm not saying, oh, look at I'm pick tough winners, but no, I really liked him. I really did like Kelvin. I even wrote an article about him once and he retweeted it, so I can't back against him. I'm going to go Kelvin to get the knockout in round 3.
Really? Well, I don't think he can finish him. I think he gets the unanimous decision. Sorry. Like you said, it really depends if Sousa's chin is gone.
Yeah.
And we don't know because there was that one knockout against Robert Whittaker. That's a while ago now, though. I think it's 2 years ago at this point, or a year ago. So, Kelvin Gastelum, unanimous decision.
Right, just before we go into the main event, might as well talk about a couple of the undercard fights just to before we big up the big main event. So we've got Cesar Ferreira taking on Carl Robertson in the main event of the prelims. Robertson is actually unbeaten, 6-0, so that should be an interesting fight. Alexio Linnekar is going to take on Junior Albini. Albini weighed in at 266. He couldn't even make the 265 unit. But obviously they allow £1 over, so...
Take off the diaper.
Yeah.
Should have made it.
Nick Hine is returning to the octagon. Sean Strickland as well. The Fight Pass prelims actually I think are better than the FX prelims. Rory Alvarez is going to come back. I'm pretty sure he subbed Colby Covington. So yeah, he's going to be taking on Sultan Alaviv. Which
hometown favourite then if he subbed Colby Covington. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he has. He's subbed him by guillotine.
He's going to be their favourite fighter if they know that.
Yeah, he's taking on Sultan Alaviv, who is a decent fighter in his own right. Tals Leites is coming back to Brazil. He's going to be taking on Jack Hermanson. Alberto Mina is taking on Ramazan Emiv. And then we've got a middleweight fight between Marcus Perez and James Bronovich. But yeah, main event, Amanda Nunez versus Raquel Pennington. I think this is this is very much a tighter fight than people are going to expect. I think Amanda's going to come out strong like always at the start. And what Amanda Nunez does is she likes to waste energy. And I think if she decides to waste that energy, it might be a long night for her. Raquel Pennington likes to grind fights out. This is her first 5-round fight in the UFC, so it could be very interesting to see how her cardio is going to be after a long layoff, obviously due to that broken leg injury. In my opinion, I'm going to go with I think it's going to go down to a split decision.
Really?
And I think it's tough because I genuinely think this fight could go either way. I think Raquel Pennington recently has just showed class and fantastic movement, to go up, progression, and looks so much better in her fights recently. But it's Brazil, so I'm basically going to say that Nunez is going to win because of a Brazilian decision and a split.
My whole picking is based on the fact that Raquel Pennington, I don't think she's fought in over a year at this point. I think she's hasn't fought because she wanted the title.
The last fight was Tate.
Yeah, which isn't a bad fight, but again, Tate, it was someone that was on the way out of the sport. I think Amanda Nunez, if I remember correctly, her last title defense was obviously against Valentina. Went the distance, 5 rounds. So she's clearly shown that she can go the distance against someone that I think can keep up a much better pace. Valentina's just an absolute monster in there. So for that reason, I think not only does Amanda win, but I think she knocks her out in the second round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. She's never been knocked out, Pennington, and her only losses in the UFC have come to Jessica Andrade by split and Holly Holm by split.
Okay.
Apart from that, she's on a 4-fight win streak at the moment. And
now both those people that beat her are some really decent strikers, and so is Amanda. So
and also split decisions.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm now going to change my bet. I'm going to get Pennington to get this decision.
There we go.
I'm just going to change it up.
It's not a bad pick. When I was picking them, I did go a little bit back and forth. I did think that it could be a decision, but
I'm just going to make it different, just so it's a little bit different.
I think in that division, no one hits like Amanda does, unfortunately.
No, that's the problem. She's come up against a striker like Holly Holm, so she's got that experience of fighting them crazy good strikers.
But I think Holly Holm's striking is a little bit different to Amanda's. Is just there's something about it, the way she catches you just as the punch is about to hit you.
But we got to remember her last fight was where she looked great was Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
So dating on nearly 2 years now.
Been a bit of a while. I mean, she didn't look bad in the Valentina fight.
Yeah, she didn't look bad. Worked out. Yeah.
It's just one of those people that.
It's the wrong weight class.
If we're being perfectly honest, maybe the second best female fighter we have or the third. Like she's up there, top.
I mean,
three.
her and Rose Namajunas regularly like spar and train.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So there's not much that you can say about those two that hasn't already been said. Two fantastic fighters.
Cool, so that's going to do it then for our MMA Flashback podcast this week. Thank you very much to everyone who's listened at home or everyone who's listened on iTunes, SoundCloud, or if you listened on YouTube. Next week we'll be reviewing WEC 37, Torres versus Tapia. So it should be a fun card because it's one which is a little bit different than the others. Obviously we looked at Cage Rage, but that had names on it. This one is a lighter.
So much.
Yeah. Bit of more of a lighter fight card. So, thank you very much everyone who's been watching at home. I've been James.
And I've been Livio.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Don't forget to go on the website for regular checks for lists or news or anything that's on there. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Boom.